Hello and welcome to the Dot Connector. Nice to be back after a little break. But what's changed really? Well, the extreme nature of it has moved on, but the story remains the same. Back in the 1990s, I coined a phrase, problem, reaction, solution, in which you covertly create a problem, blame someone else for it. And at stage 2, you're looking for a reaction from the public, which basically says, do something about the problem you have covertly created. And that allows you at stage 3 to offer the solution to the problems you have created, but blame someone else for. And events like 9/11 are monumental examples of problem, reaction, solution, where you create the problem and then your solution is devastation, mayhem, death and destruction in the Middle East as a reaction to the people you blame for it. And I looked at events in Los Angeles, and quite blatantly, it's a problem, reaction, solution. You know, I look on as I observe the hijacked, as I would say, alternative media, which has regressed from knowing that we live in one-party states and that there is a force that works through all the parties with any chance of forming a government. And yet now, the regression has reached the point where I'm seeing the so-called alternative media saying that the deep state is the Democrats, is the left. It's pathetic to behold, really. We have this global cult, this global network of secret societies, fiercely compartmentalized themselves, so only the inner core knows the real story, that don't just work through the left, they work through all sides to bring about a desired outcome, which is dystopia. So I observe the unfolding sequence in Los Angeles. First of all, the Trump government sends in the ICE border police, very high profile, blatantly in your face, to target migrants at their workplace that they say are illegal. And you select your target as Los Angeles in California because you know you're going to get a reaction there. You're going to get people who are going to respond to what they think is injustice, and they're going to go out on the streets in protest. You know that. And so that's what you do. And you've got your ICE border police headed by this buffoon, barely one-dimensional, Tom Homan, and he's perfect for the job. You know you're going to get a reaction to that. And no doubt you've put some agent provocateurs in there to do some of the more extreme stuff that will get on the TV news and wind up much of the country. And you have in plain sight the waving of Mexican flags, which is going to really wind up people on the so-called right, because they're going to say it's an invasion, go back to your own country and all that. And then as a result of the protests and some work by agents provocateurs, no doubt, you then say, oh, we can't have this problem. Reaction, do something. Solution. You send in the military, 4,000 National Guard troops, 700 Marines as I speak, and you say, we've got to put down this insurrection. Even though, yes, there has been violence and cars set on fire, but the great majority of protesters will have done that peacefully, but you don't talk about them. And so you set a precedent, which is what you're setting out to do, whereby when there are protests against what you are doing, which people have, whatever their view, have every right to do peacefully, then the precedent is you're going to send the boys in. And that's what tyrants do. That's what emerging tyrannies do, which is what we have in the United States. So anyway, before we get into this, here's a report on some of what's been going on in LA.
Over the past 72 hours, pockets of LA descending into chaos. Protesters setting cars on fire, dumping bikes and scooters on police cruisers on the highway. Law enforcement firing hundreds of flashbangs and non-lethal projectiles and making dozens of arrests. It got so heated in the streets that a British photographer needed emergency surgery after being struck by a non-lethal projectile.
Moving them on through the...
And there was this moment. Watch as a correspondent for 9 News Australia
You just shut the...
reporting on the protest when an officer hits her with a rubber pellet. And tonight, an escalating war of words between California Governor Gavin Newsom and Donald Trump. Newsom suing the president for creating the conditions for this chaos when he sidestepped California officials to deploy thousands of National Guard troops.
Are you going to deploy Marines in California?
We hope to have the support of Gavin because Gavin's the big beneficiary as we straighten out his problems. I mean, his state is a mess.
Newsom then slammed by Trump and border czar Tom Homan for his response to the unrest. Homan initially suggesting the governor should be arrested, something Trump seemed to support just hours ago.
I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job.
Newsom responding again, calling that an unmistakable step toward authoritarianism. I asked Homan about that.
If Gavin Newsom crosses whatever threshold it is and violates the law, do you have the authority to arrest him or
if he broke the laws like any other U.S. citizen, we'll ask the Attorney General to investigate and they'll prosecute. Tom Homan's not going to prosecute.
Spontaneous clashes began Friday as federal agents conducted multiple operations in and around Los Angeles. By Saturday, protests, mostly peaceful, grew larger when agents were seen staging in nearby Paramount, California. And by Sunday, a convoy of heavily armed and camouflaged troops arrived.
So the point is that this global cult works through both the left and the right to create this pincer movement to hijack the perceptions of the population and to justify the imposition of military involvement that without the problem you couldn't justify. And it's kind of hilarious in a perverse kind of way to see the left, which denies conspiracies when they're in power, suddenly discovering conspiracy. Oh, Trump's doing it because of this. Yeah, I agree. But when Biden and Obama and anyone else is in power of the left, you Can't see a conspiracy. They're the conspiracy nuts who are saying it's a conspiracy. And then you've got the right. Oh, dear. Beam me up, mother. It's mad down here. You've got the right who talk about conspiracies, many of them quite rightly, but then when their guy gets into power, they stop seeing them. And so the left and the right are mirrors of each other. I'll give you an example. We saw in that clip Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, being all prim and proper. Oh, it's tyranny. Yeah, I think it is. But this is a story from the time of COVID. Governor Newsom activates National Guard to bolster state's COVID-19 testing capacity. Governor Gavin Newsom today announced that he has activated the California National Guard to support local communities with additional testing facilities and capacity amid the national surge in COVID-19 cases driven by the Omicron variant. Now, that, you'll remember, was the variant of the variant. California has led the country's fight against COVID-19, implementing first-in-the-nation public health measures that helped save tens of thousands of lives. Bullshit, said Governor Newsom. We continue to support communities in their response to COVID-19 by bolstering testing capacity. And it goes on about that how he's implemented a series of measures, including a vaccine and masking measures requiring that workers in healthcare settings be fully vaccinated. What have been the health consequences for them, Mr. Newsom? So basically, the left and the right, in terms of the controlling force working through them, are two cheeks on the same backside. And this is the thing. If you're going to bring in a great reset, which is what the whole idea is, a complete transformation of human society, well, you have to destroy the status quo. Because while the status quo's there and is not moving, your great reset can't transform society. And what Trump's role in this great reset, deep state agenda is to create, and he's brilliant at it, chaos. Chaos and upheaval. We're doing it with the tariffs and in so many other ways, because he's destroying the status quo. This Doge thing and Musk and what have you, this is all part of destroying the status quo and ushering in a dystopia based on control by artificial intelligence. Something I've been warning was the plan for decades. And what you are doing is this. The left has pretty much gone with the AI agenda, whereas the right was very skeptical of it. So you've got to bring them in so that they come on board with what they formerly would have pushed back on. And so you bring forward Trump, that is circled by this big tech oligarchy like Peter Thiel and others in Silicon Valley, Palantir. And you basically, through Trump, tell your base, your target audience, MAGA, what they want to hear. But that's the cover for bringing in the Great Reset and the AI society. And I saw this post this week by a MAGA stalwart, a lady called Laura Loomer, who said, "Time to deploy Palantir to Los Angeles to deal with illegals. You know you'd love to see it. You're lying if you say you wouldn't." Well, that's a kind of a classic example of what I'm talking about. You have the right of the alternative media that has for years and years said and warned about this AI control system and about the surveillance system and the Chinese social credit system. And now you have one of them, and she will be far from alone, that's calling for Palantir to come in to oversee surveillance. And we also have Palantir being hired not just by ICE, the border police, but hired by the Trump regime in general to bring together all the different databases so you have one massive database through which you can assimilate all the information from endless sources on every individual in your population. And this is problem, reaction, solution extraordinaire. And what is Palantir? It's a CIA seed-funded company that provides surveillance and data processing technology for the American government, yes, but other governments like Israel, like the UK, etc., and for intelligence agencies and the military. And two of the people that run Palantir are a guy called Peter Thiel, who is everywhere, and another guy called Alex Karp. And they're both on the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group. And the Bilderberg Group is a globalist, deep state operation, and they are being employed to bring in this Orwellian system by those like Trump and the MAGA media that claim to be against all this stuff. It makes no sense. And the reason it doesn't is because what you're really looking at is this cult playing out through both sides, including the side headed by Trump that claims to be against the deep state when they're a servant of it. So it just so happens that this big, beautiful bill that Trump is trying to push through includes provision to ban the states of America from regulating artificial intelligence for 10 years, which by then, this system will have been put into place. And here we have a story about this technology and Palantir. Palantir to build centralized database on Americans. The Trump administration is quietly assembling a centralized data infrastructure on the American population. To build it, they've enlisted Palantir, a powerful data mining company with deep ties to the intelligence world. Co-founded by Peter Thiel, Trump's longtime ally and mega donor, Palantir was originally seeded by the CIA to help the government make sense of large, fragmented data sets. And here's an article by John Whitehead. He's a constitutional lawyer, attorney, and a veteran campaigner for freedom. And the great thing about John is that he looks at a situation dispassionately and not from an ideological point of view, in the sense of I'm a Trump supporter, so Trump can do no wrong, which is what MAGA does, especially the MAGA media. So the headline of his article is Trump's Palantir-powered surveillance is turning America into a digital prison. President Trump's plan to fuse government power with private surveillance tech to build a centralized national citizen database is the final step in transforming America from a constitutional republic into a digital dictatorship armed with algorithms and powered by unaccountable, all-seeing artificial intelligence. This, MAGA, if you bloody remember, was what you were once pushing back on. And what Elon Musk is fundamentally involved in doing with many others. But as soon as he buys Twitter, you fall to your bloody knees instead of calling him out for what he's doing. And John Whitehead is talking about. This isn't about national security, John says, it's about control. According to news reports, the Trump administration is quietly collaborating with Palantir Technologies, the data mining behemoth, co-founded by billionaire Peter Thiel, to construct a centralized government-wide surveillance system that would consolidate biometric, behavioral, and geolocation data into a single weaponized database of Americans' private information. This isn't about protecting freedom, it's about rendering freedom obsolete. What we're witnessing, he says, is the transformation of America into a digital prison, one where the inmates are told we're free while every move, every word, every thought is monitored, recorded, and used to assign a threat score that determines our place in the new hierarchy of obedience. Now, if this was being done by the Democrats or the left, then the right would be furious. It would be screaming conspiracy, dystopia, deep state. But because their man Trump is doing it, it's okay. Fortunately, there are many who have been in the MAGA who are beginning to see it now. John says this puts one more step along the road to China's dystopian system of social credit scores and Big Brother surveillance. The tools enabling this all-seeing surveillance regime are not new, but under Trump's direction, they are being fused together in unprecedented ways, with Palantir at the center of this digital dragnet. In this new regime, your innocence will be irrelevant. The algorithm will decide who you are and if you're guilty. So Trump's embrace of Palantir and its unparalleled ability to fuse surveillance feeds, social media metadata, public records, and AI-driven predictions marks a dangerous evolution, a modern-day resurrection of main core, digitalized, centralized, and fully automated. What has emerged is a surveillance model more vast than anything dreamed up by past regimes, a digital tyranny in which every citizen becomes both observed and self-regulating. So this is happening under Trump, who said he was against all this. But that's how they play the perceptual game. Trump wouldn't do that. He's against all that. So Palantir is headed by this guy, Peter Thiel, and Alex Karp. And this is Alex Karp speaking to Palantir shareholders. I wonder if you really would want this guy surveilling and controlling your life.
Alex, as always, we have a lot of individual investors on the line. Is there anything you'd like to say before we end the call?
We're doing it. We're doing it. And I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am. Let's not talk to analysts about the burden of being right, our burdens of investing in ontology, our burdens of actually looking at the math, the burden of reading what the rule of 40 is, the burden of being honest about what an enterprise software company is, or the burden of explaining to your friends that you're really happy. Maybe we should just stop talking about it. I'm very happy to have you along for the journey, and you are partners for us. Every Palantirian, we are crushing it. Everyone else who's listening, we are dedicating our company. We have dedicated our company to the service of the West and the United States of America, and we're super proud of the role we play, especially in places we can't talk about. And we love our success in the U.S. and globally. Also, we are doing in the United Kingdom and many other places. Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them. And we hope you're in favor of that. We hope you're enjoying being a partner, and we're really happy and very, very focused on what we're doing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That concludes Q&A for today's call.
And Palantir have been using their technology to support Israel's war slaughter in Gaza. And here, Alex Karp was challenged on that. Lovely man.
That a few people get wealthy, and if you said platitudes that were obviously stupid, you could...
You're getting wealthy off of killing Palestinians. With Palantir kills Palestinians with their AI and technology.
Oh.
You're killing my family in Palestine.
Yeah. And,
What kind of person are you? How do you sleep at night?
Well, if
Shame
you...
on you.
Do you want to hear my answer?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So, I think the primary cause of death to Palestinians... Okay, do you want to hear the answer, or do you want to yell? Well, you don't want to hear an answer? Obviously. So the primary source of death in Palestine is the fact that Hamas has realized that there are millions and millions of useful idiots that will...
Using that excuse, this is why you don't get us left to speak. Because you are killing my people and you're justifying it because of Hamas or anyone else.
Can we get security up there?
Okay.
Mostly terrorists, that's true.
No.
She believes I'm evil. I believe she's an unwitting product of an evil force, Hamas. That she unwittingly is part of their strategy, that she is a product. And the most important thing, arguably, in the book, or what Palantir, or what you could learn, is do not become a product of an ideology that sounds sensible.
Alex Karp, the ultimate useful idiot who follows an ideology that seems sensible to him. And Peter Thiel was also questioned at another event about Palantir's support for Israel's nightmare attacks on Gaza, where they're using their technology to identify targets. Now, Peter Thiel thinks of himself as some kind of intellectual giant. I wonder if you do after watching this.
Look, I'm not, without going into all the I'm not on top of all the details of what's going on in Israel because my bias is to defer to Israel. It's not for us to second guess everything, and I believe that broadly the IDF gets to decide what it wants to do, and that they're broadly in the right, and that's sort of the perspective I come back to. And if I fall into the trap of arguing you on every detailed point, I would actually be conceding the broader issue that the Middle East should be micromanaged from Cambridge, and I think that's just simply absurd. And so I'm not going to concede that point.
So these are the sort of clowns who are building the dystopian state on behalf of the hidden masters who they answer to. And like all dictators, Trump is having a military parade to mark his and the military's birthday, while telling anyone who thinks of protesting against this self-indulgence and enormous cost that they will be subjected to very big force. And he also wants to jail anyone who burns the American flag to be sentenced to a year in jail. And he said this while talking to troops and completely politicizing the military, getting them to boo the Democrats and cheer what he was saying, which the military should be completely neutral, but not under Trump. That's not what he's there to do. So here he is wanting to jail people for burning the American flag.
But they proudly carry the flags of other countries, but they don't carry the American flag. They only burn it. Did you see a lot of the flags being burned? They weren't being burned by people from our country or from people that love our country. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing. 1 year. And we'll see if we can get that done. We're going to try and get that done. We're working with some of your senators. I know Senator Josh Hawley is very much involved.
Whenever I hear this come up, and it does from time to time, they should jail people for burning the flag, always reminds me of a wonderful clip by the great comedian, no longer with us, unfortunately, Bill Hicks, when he was responding to an earlier demand for consequences for those who burn the flag. The voice of sanity. And you know, one of the conspiracies that's been flying around over the years is that Alex Jones is Bill Hicks. Well, when you see Alex Jones cheering on and promoting this Trump regime, given where it's taking not just America, it's designed to take the world in that direction as well, towards tyranny. And then you see Bill Hicks pushing back on it when he was alive. Alex Jones is no Bill Hicks. And here we have now the increasing emphasis on attacking Iran. And it's coming, of course, from Israel. And so we have this story. Trump confirms US personnel are being removed from parts of the Middle East. President Donald Trump confirmed that United States personnel are being moved out of parts of the Middle East amid escalating tensions with Israel and Iran. The State Department ordered the departure of all non-essential staff from its embassy in Baghdad, Iraq, due to concern over increased security risks in the region, according to two State Department officials familiar with the matter. Another U.S. official said that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has authorized the voluntary departure of military dependents from locations across the Middle East. Trump's comments come as the administration has worked to reach a deal with Tehran to limit its nuclear program. The two sides have held several rounds of talks, but have not come to an agreement. No, because that's not the idea. You have Trump's special envoy on the Middle East, a Jewish real estate developer called Steve Witkoff. So he's obviously going to be unbiased in what he does. And Trump, like Witkoff, is owned by Israel. And Israel wants a conflict, has long wanted a conflict with Iran. So this is Trump replying to a question from a journalist about why the personnel are being removed from the Middle East.
You provide an update on Iran. We're hearing reports that U.S. personnel are being moved out of the region within striking distance.
Well, they are being moved out because it could be a dangerous place, and we'll see what happens. But they are we've given notice to move out, and we'll see what happens.
Is there anything that can be done to dial the temperature down in the region?
They can't have a nuclear weapon. Very simply. They can't have a nuclear weapon. We're not going to allow that.
You know, there's a saying, a motto for the 33rd degree of Freemasonry. It's ordo ab chaos, order out of chaos. Create the chaos problem and offer the solution to the chaos. And that is problem, reaction, solution, perfectly described. And what Trump is doing is systematically creating the chaos, the dismantling of the status quo in every direction. So now for subscribers to iconic.com, the rest of the Dot Connector. And those that have left, we can talk about them, can't we? They'll never know. Now, one of the things that's been going on while I've been away is this bust up between Trump and Musk. And seen this story this morning. Inside the end of Trump's explosive feud with Elon Musk as Tesla boss makes olive branch call to president. And Trump seemed to be a bit taken aback by Musk's attack on him. And it did come out of nowhere, out of left field, after Musk's been in the Oval Office getting that gold key to the White House symbolically after his period of being an official advisor ended. But of course, these two need each other. And of course, they are extreme narcissists, both of them. So it was always inevitable they were going to fall out at some point. But they do need each other, not least Musk needs the enormous government contracts for his companies. And Tesla's gone down the pan as a result of his actions in government, which have been appalling. And the story goes on. The settlement of the astonishing feud between President Donald Trump and Elon Musk finally came about after the world's richest man placed a phone call to the world's most powerful. You hear this all the time, you know. The President of the United States, most powerful man in the world, only officially. You wonder if he still is even officially, but it's just a puppet. The real power you never see. The former First Buddy has been seeking to claw his way back into Trump's good side with a series of surprisingly positive posts about Trump and his agenda. Basically, what he's been doing is getting on his knees, putting his hands together and asking for forgiveness. We'll see where that goes from here. But this whole thing about the AI agenda is not dependent on Musk and Trump being best buddies, because it's much, much bigger than that. And I saw this article this week. I think it was in the Spectator magazine. And it says, the tech right MAGA alliance is far from over. And the real relevant thing is that it's written by Joe Lonsdale, who's a co-founder of Palantir. And he says, in the aftermath of the Musk-Trump breakup, many are wondering about the future of the tech right, as he calls it, and its relationship to the MAGA movement. In 2024, the two groups fought together and won. But a deeper trend in society defines the real tech right. The US innovation world is no longer mostly about the internet. We're building in the real world, trying to fix substantive areas of our society. I'm sure you are. What forms the deeper substance of the tech right is an optimism about what we can achieve for the entire country and an opposition to the mountain of cronyist left-wing rules and regulations that have made it so hard and are being used by special interests trying to stop us. So, notice they're calling themselves the tech right. This is exactly what I've been warning about and saying what the Trump regime would be about. And that is bringing their base, the MAGA, on board with the AI agenda. So now, oh no, we're the tech right, we're on your side. It's so bloody blatant. It's shocking, really. And they don't want regulation. Oh, well, we've seen that with this big, beautiful bill where they're trying to stop states having anything to do with regulating AI for 10 years. He says, Lonsdale, insofar as the tech right is focused on building things for America, solving problems for our citizens and improving their families' lives, they're so nice. Lovely people. Nothing in it for them. There will be continued natural alliances with MAGA. See how it's going? MAGA, we're on your side, alliance, AI. We have massive cost diseases in the West. Costs rise in areas where the government dominates and technology competition is low. Housing, healthcare, defense, and education are a few examples. Imagine for a moment the America that we can build with technology. He's talking to MAGA here. I mean, The Spectator's a right-wing magazine. With AI-enabled services and a regulatory upheaval, stop regulation. Medicare and Medicaid would be far cheaper. Oh, that's the health care systems that the tech right hero Elon Musk has been destroying with Doge, is it? Apparently so. Safe and clean nuclear reactors alongside other sources would power the American continent for a teeny fraction of the cost. Energy bills would go down and all this stuff that you hear from these people. It's extraordinary. And he says, transformed by new primes such as Anduril and Saronic, our military would be able to deter our enemies and accomplish missions as lean and mean a technological machine without sending American boys to die in faraway conflicts. This is selling to MAGA, the military being taken over by artificial intelligence, which ultimately decides who lives and who dies. And he mentions Anduril there, or could be transformed by Anduril. Anduril is a company that is fundamentally connected to, yes, Peter Thiel, through his protege, who runs it, a guy called Palmer Luckey, who I've talked about before in the Dot Connector and certainly in detail in the books. But doing so, he says, requires policy entrepreneurship to break through the regulatory state. The US has to stop as the top, technology sector in the world, and on the patriotic right, see the game. We are proud of that fact. We will not surrender to dysfunctional government. Civilization won't fail to surmount these challenges on our watch. The tech right isn't going anywhere. It's just started helping to make America great again. Blimey. Don't make it obvious, mate, will you? What you're trying to do. What I've been saying they would be doing for years now. So this is why the big tech controlled of the Trump regime wants to stop states becoming able to regulate AI for 10 years, by which time, as I said earlier, the major tenets of this thing will be in place. And this is House Speaker Mike Johnson being asked about this by a journalist.
Legislation within the big beautiful bill was already artificial intelligence, unregulated AI in all 50 states for the next 10 years. Are you aware of that? Why is that included as a big beautiful bill and does the White House know about it?
Yeah, of course. I know about it. The White House knows about it. I spoke with it as recently as last night with David Sachs, who's the AI czar in the White House. Here's the rationale behind it. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about this. It would be a very dangerous thing, we feel, for all 50 states to have a patchwork of regulations on AI. There's a number of reasons for that. Imagine a state like California that hyper-regulates everything. They would stifle innovation. They would put so much heat and regulation on top of it, they would smother it. That would be a serious problem from a national security standpoint. Because remember, we're in a race with other countries, not the least of which is China. And if we hamper our own innovation and we make it too complicated to continue to develop, then China will overtake us, and that's a very dangerous situation. And look, there's a classified level of briefing on this that I wish everybody could hear, but you need to understand we're doing the responsible thing. Now, I don't know at the end of the day, the Senate, of course, is looking at that provision to see about the scope and the duration of the pause, I would say. And we'll see how that comes out in their deliberations. But in the House, we felt like that was an important thing to do. I am a fierce guardian of states' rights and federalism and all those principles that made us the greatest nation in the history of the world. But there are a handful of issues that beg to be addressed on the federal level, and this is one of them. And Congress needs time to do this right so that we don't get ourselves behind China.
The David Sachs he mentions there is the Trump AI czar, who's straight out of the big tech oligarchy network and is part of the so-called PayPal mafia that includes Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. And people don't realize the scale of transformation that this artificial intelligence takeover will bring, and the level of control. And you'll note there that the speaker is talking about we must not let China, etc., beat us in the race for AI. And I've mentioned this before in the Dot Connector. That's part of the sales pitch to get people behind the AI takeover is, oh no, we must beat the Chinese. The Chinese is the blueprint for what they wish to bring in. And like I say, the transformation is almost indescribable, what we're in the midst of. The death of creativity, AI job fears stalk advertising industry, and mentions an agency, WPP, and others roll out AI-generated campaigns as Facebook owner Meta plans to let firms create their own ads. And it goes on to look at how the advertising industry, just for one, I mean, it's almost every industry, will be affected by this AI takeover when AI is generating the ads and increasingly will be deciding much else in the advertising industry. And it talks in the article about how customers, clients, are becoming so focused on cost that they are demanding that these agencies move to AI to cut the costs. And this is a mock AI advertisement made by an AI video production company called the Door Brothers, founded in Berlin, Germany. And we're seeing more and more of this impacting upon the film industry, television, everything. And this is what they can do now, but not what they'll be able to do not too long from now.
They said the journey changes you, that the path shapes your story. But they never told you that you are the journey. You are the path. You are the story. Zara, wear your story.
Another thing, of course, is that how do you know what's real anymore? When AI can generate video footage of situations that have no humans in them. They're all AI generated. When you can have these deep fakes where you can take somebody and you can mimic their voice and mimic the movement of their mouth to make them say whatever you bloody want. It's part of an extraordinary psychological transformation as well as a transformation in every other way that this AI is bringing about. And here we have Meta creating a new AI lab to pursue superintelligence. The new lab, set to include the Scale AI founder Alexander Wang, is part of a reorganization of Meta's artificial intelligence efforts under Mark Zuckerberg. a whole of this tech internet oligarchy is moving into this whole AI arena. Meta is preparing to unveil a new artificial intelligence research lab dedicated to pursuing super intelligence. I'm not sure Mark Zuckerberg will ever get there, mind. A hypothetical AI system that exceeds the powers of the human brain, as the tech giants jockeys, or the giant jockeys, to stay competitive in the technologically generated race, according to 4 people with knowledge of the company's plans. Meta has tapped this guy, Alexander Wang, who's apparently 28, the founder and chief executive of the AI startup Scale AI, to join the new lab, the people said, and has been in talks to invest billions of dollars in his company as part of a deal that would bring other Scale AI employees into Meta. And it's offering big salaries and what have you. And staying in the race, it says, is crucial for Meta, for Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, with the technology likely to be the future of the industry. Of course it is. That's the plan. The giants have pumped money into startups and their own AI labs. Microsoft has invested more than $13 billion in OpenAI. That's the company of this guy, Sam Altman, who was wheeled out by Trump 2 days into his presidency to announce an up to $500 billion investment in AI, while Amazon has plowed $8 billion into the AI startup Anthropic. And this is an area too that we kind of need to understand to see what's going on. Advanced AI suffers complete accuracy collapse in the face of complex problems, study finds. This is an Apple study, so be careful, of course. Apple researchers have found fundamental limitations in cutting-edge artificial intelligence models in a paper raising doubts about the technology industry's race to develop ever more powerful systems. And this is the point. This technology is not dependent upon humans in the public arena developing the technology. The technology already exists well in advance of where it is now. It already exists in the underground bases and the secret projects, the underground bases called DUMBs, Deep Underground Military Bases. And I've talked to people over the decades who've been in those bases, and they describe how they are compartmentalized by the levels that you go down. So you have a security clearance to go to a certain level, but you can't go to the levels below that where the real game is going on. And it's here that the non-human force that's behind human society is transferring technological knowledge to the human cult hierarchy in these underground bases. And so the technology they need to push on, which they're saying, oh, there could be a problem, is already in existence. And it's being played out in a sequence that means that the speed with which technology is advancing on technology is getting faster and faster. Not because people are inventing things quicker, but because they already exist in the underground bases. And then you have the front men on the surface, your Zuckerbergs and people, who front up bringing this stuff into the public arena with a cover story. That's what's happening. So Advanced AI suffers complete accuracy collapse, says Apple researchers. Well, it might at the level you're working at, but it's been sorted long ago in the underground bases. We've had Greta Thunberg in the news again this week. I have no support whatsoever for what she says about the hoax of human-caused climate change, which she thinks is real. But I do have sympathy with what she's been doing this week. Okay, she's now a professional activist and in search of a cause, but she has been highlighting, as we must highlight at every opportunity, the horrors going on in Gaza when she was with others on a boat saying they wanted to land some food in Gaza, and they were intercepted by the Israeli military, and she was put on a flight back to Sweden. So this is a little report on what happened.
Please sound the alarm. Today, a high-profile interception on the high seas.
Please, go to your places, ditch their phones.
As the Israeli Navy took command of a ship full of activists, including celebrity climate campaigner Greta Thunberg. As their ship, the Madeleine, tried to approach the Gaza Strip to break Israel's years-long blockade. Israel's foreign ministry said the group was safe and unharmed, but, quote, the show is over. The yacht, operated by the pro-Palestinian Freedom Flotilla Coalition, had intended to make a symbolic delivery of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip, in protest over Israel having severed aid for nearly 3 months, which aid agencies had said pushed the enclave to the brink of starvation. The group had expected to be stopped.
If you see this video, we have been intercepted and kidnapped in international waters.
Israel's defense minister had asked the activists be shown videos of Hamas's October 7th attack before sending them back to their home countries.
It's what always happens in the case of Israel. They do what they like, even if it's in international waters. So there's a guy this week who I've kind of had in the background for a long time, since he used to appear quite regularly on the Tucker Carlson show on Fox, when he was on Fox. And he's called Dave Portnoy. Now, he's the Jewish owner of the American media company Barstool Sports. And just talking of Greta Thunberg, he said in response to what she was doing this week that he hoped the missile would hit her boat. So another lovely man. And Portnoy very much is part of this MAGA, the extreme MAGA mentality, where for one, it's okay to do certain things, but if you do them to my side, then I'm all against it. Indeed, in terms of Portnoy, vehemently against it. He's another Trump supporter who, like I say, has been interviewed many times over the years on the Carlson show. He's also been in the news this week for his attack on one of his own employees during a podcast over Portnoy's assertion that no one should be telling Jewish jokes in the present climate. And I just wonder if Palestinian jokes are okay, Mr. Portnoy. Oh, they are. Oh, I thought they might be. Anyway, here's the clip. Apologies for the language, but it's worth seeing just to see the mentality of the extreme of MAGA and the arrogance that it can portray.
If you just want me to kick him out, not mention it, not care that this kid is anti-Semitic, shut up. If you just want me to ignore it,
don't tell me to shut up. Don't
shut the f*** up, you bald.
Okay, go ahead.
How's that?
Oh, it's kill. I'll never recover from that, Dave. Go ahead, continue. I'll never recover.
Well, you're the one who big boss man, don't tell. I'll tell you work for me.
Okay, go ahead, continue.
You little bitch, you work for me.
Sure, you bet. For now,
oh, you
continue.
Don't? For now, quit. I don't care.
Is this show or not a show? Like, is a show or not a show? Like, we can't have a conversation?
You're an idiot.
Okay, continue.
You're literally saying people should be allowed to make Jew jokes, say whatever they want right now. That's
yes, I think people should be allowed to make jokes.
So how many mother Jews have to be killed before you stop?
Dave Portnoy must be a lovely man to work for. And on the subject of Israel, Israel's fury over British sanctions on ministers, pair accused of inciting violence against Palestinians, hit back against government bars. Israel last night criticized Britain for sanctioning 2 of its government ministers and accusing them of inciting violence against Palestinians. These are the security minister and the finance minister. They're going to be subject to a travel ban by Britain and an asset freeze. The foreign minister, Gideon Sahar, said it was outrageous that they had been sanctioned. Of course, you're bombing the innocent in Gaza day after day, but you're the victim. Of course you are. It's been issued, this ban by Foreign Secretary David Lammy, who labeled comments by one of them in which he spoke about Israeli forces cleansing Gaza. He described them as monstrous. And one of them is called Smotrich. And he said he learned of the sanctions while inaugurating a new West Bank settlement. They're stealing the West Bank. It will be annexed within this Trump administration, I'm sure. And we are determined to continue building, he said. And Mr. Ben Giver, the other one, has called for Gazans to be resettled and demanded the replacement of the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem with a synagogue, which I've talked about on the Dot Connector before, about they want to demolish the current mosque and replace it with a third, quote, Solomon's temple. We overcame Pharaoh, said one of these blokes, and will overcome Starmer's wall. You know, I'll come to this in a second, but all this stuff going on in Israel is all founded on a belief in the Old Testament being true. It's not. The sanctions, which were also imposed by Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and Norway, mark a significant break with the US and have been condemned by Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State in America, of course, because they're all owned by Israel. We've had a spending review in Britain by the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, who is a complete incompetent. They're putting incompetence up into office all over the place, not least in relation to money, so that they can bring the system down as part of this dismantling. And she's reinstated the winter fuel allowance for old people after deleting it last year. And she says she's been able to do it because it's now possible because Labour has fixed the stricken UK economy. It's laughable. Nothing has changed except it's got worse. And yet that's the reason she's saying she can reinstate the payment. She is reinstating the payment quite simply because of the pushback and the reaction she's had from the public and the effect that's had on how people vote. And it says here that Rachel Reeves, this Chancellor, rocked by jobs slump, shock figures show 250,000 jobs have gone since tax-raising budget, which was last year, as Chancellor is preparing for giant spending spree. So nothing's changed. She's just announcing all these spending proposals this week, which will have to be paid for, no doubt, by more taxation later in the year as the whole system goes on getting dismantled. So the woke kind of still continues, the woke extremism. I'm all for fairness, I'm all for diversity and all that stuff if it's based on ability. And the woke ideology, while it's being pushed back in America, is still there, as it's still in so many other places. And here's an example. Woke school program turns beloved children's character trans and warns of racist babies. This is in the US. A woke school program turned a beloved children's character transgender and warned teachers of racist babies, according to a new report. Head Start, a federally funded educational program for children aged 3 to 5, held webinars that said infants discriminate between faces by race and that babies can categorize people by gender or race, according to the Functional Government Initiative FGI report. A series of 2020 webinars focused on anti-bias and anti-racism strategies were distributed to teachers, parents, and children, and specifically claimed that babies can start to discriminate at 3 months. Well, what happens, and you know, you see this, most people who are Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Judaism followers, Hindus, whatever, they become advocates of that religion because they've been brought up in it and have known nothing else. It's indoctrination. If it wasn't, there'd be a lot of more cross-referencing of people who were born into a Hindu household and become Christian, or born into a Christian household and become Muslim. So it's indoctrination. And racism, judging someone by the color of their skin, is indoctrination. If you're brought up in a household as a child with racist parents, there's very good chance you're going to become racist. Not an absolute certainty, very, very, very good chance. And that's what indoctrinates racism. If you see little kids playing together, they're not bothered what color they are or where they come from. They just play together. Unless, of course, some of them have been indoctrinated by their parents. This is absolute garbage what these people are speaking. By age 5, some children express preference for their own race and have learned many of the same racial attitudes as adults by the time they go to kindergarten. The national program run by Dr. Deborah Bergeron at the time, God, one to avoid, also proposed that children's activities need to become more inclusive, including the traditional nursery rhyme, Old MacDonald Had a Farm. Now, wait for this one. Instead of the jingle's classic, Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he had a pig, E-I-E-I-O. Head Start switched the famous lyric to Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he, she, they had a pig. There's people in straitjackets for less, you know. Head Start also pushed transgender ideology by referring to pregnant women as pregnant people or birthing parents, according to the program's social media posts, the report found. Absolute madness, and more and more people are having the courage they didn't have before to say so, which is great. Now, here's a couple of stories to finish on, which kind of reflects a lot of the research I've been doing in the last few months for a new book. Dead Sea Scroll breakthrough, AI analysis proves the ancient manuscripts are even older than we thought. These are the Dead Sea Scrolls, which it says, this article, surely among the most historically and biblically important objects known to humankind, found in caves near the Dead Sea. I've been there, actually, Qumran, nearly 100 years ago. These ancient manuscripts have transformed understanding of Jewish and Christian origins. Well, it depends which way you look at it. Confirmed the Bible? Not really. Penned among or upon the 1,000 scrolls were profound religious texts, hymns, prayers, legal codes, commentaries, and more. Until now, the scrolls have been assumed to date somewhere between the 3rd century BC and the 1st century AD. But according to new AI analysis, some of the scrolls date back as far as the 4th century BC, nearly 2,500 years ago, while the experts only analyzed about a 10th of all Dead Sea Scrolls. They hope AI could continue to reveal more about their history. And the other story is that scientists uncover second hidden city beneath Egypt's Giza pyramids in discovery that, the headline says, rewrites history. Scientists who revealed an underground hidden city in Egypt have announced the discovery of a second city they say proves the existence of a massive subterranean complex linking the Giza pyramids 2,000 feet beneath the surface. The newly discovered shafts and chambers could rewrite history if confirmed to be true. The team of Italian researchers first claimed to have uncovered vast underground structures below the Khafre pyramid in March, igniting fierce backlash from mainstream archaeologists. And famed archaeologist Dr. Zahi Hawass is the team's biggest critic, saying it's impossible for the ground-penetrating radar to see thousands of feet below the surface. Hawass has had a go at me in the past. So they're in the right company, because if he's against it, it's probably true. Undeterred by the scrutiny, the team has now reportedly detected similar shafts beneath the smallest of the 3 pyramids at Giza, months after their initial findings below Khafre. So we'll put these two stories together and how they connect into the research I've been doing over months now. And it's when you go back to the ancient texts, whether it's the Dead Sea Scrolls or the original Hebrew texts of what became the Old Testament, and most importantly, if you go back to the Sumerian tablets that originate thousands of years BC, you see common themes if they are correctly translated. And what is obvious is that they haven't been properly translated. And I've been reading a lot of stuff over the months by those who are experts in various languages. And indeed, in one case, was a Bible translator for a company approved by the Vatican, who started to realize that how the Bible has been translated, the Old Testament, for instance, has been translated, is not what it actually said. And that the words that have been translated as God singular actually mean a plural, gods. And you see some of them have survived, like the sons of gods, sons of the gods who interbred with the daughters of men. It's been translated as sons of God in the Bible, but if you go back to the original, it's sons of the gods. And you then start to look at the in the way it's being retranslated, the high technology, advanced technology that is being described. So you have these gods, plural, who kind of arrive, and they have high technology. We're talking thousands of years ago. And then you look at the Indian texts like the Vedas and others, and you find that they are describing the same. They're describing the gods. I mean, Hinduism still has it's still a multiple god religion. And it describes the craft that they flew in. And then you take that and then you apply it to like what's claimed to be found, anyway, at Giza. And you see all these other fantastic, unexplainable by the official history of a primitive people, unexplainable, fantastic structures in the ancient world. I mean, I've been in Peru and seen a wall, an ancient wall, just outside Cuzco, in the Andes. And you see these stones, and they're absolutely bloody enormous. Their weight, I mean, you're talking hundreds of tons in some cases. And they're fitted together, even though they're all different shapes, they're fitted together. And you can hardly get a piece of paper between them. You look at the pyramids and these other structures that we would absolutely struggle to build today. So what if there was an advanced non-human race in the ancient world that built them, and all the others all over the world? And when you then look at the various ancient texts from all parts of the world, you find that they're describing the same phenomenon, whether it's in Central America or North America or Asia or wherever, Australia. And it completely rewrites not only history as it's been given to us, but it rewrites the whole foundation of what we call religion. And I'm going to put it all together in a book, which I'm kind of almost finished now. And see what you think. Controversial. Yeah. So anyway, that's the dot connector. I'll see you next week. I'm going to have a run at them now for the next little while. And we'll see what happens in the next 7 days. It will be interesting, I'm sure. See ya. Bye.